we will continue with this presentation. So good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Today we'll be presenting the monthly Rapido presentation. And let's start with sharing my slides. I hope you can see them. Okay. So today we will be covering the status of the Rapido community. We'll see what's happening there. We will talk a little bit about the Rapido September release. And we will also have our frequently asked questions section, which today is more dedicated to some administrative issues related to Rapido. Okay, so I want to start with the Rapido community, and this was a great month. We had many institutions in North America going live and also in Australia, so the community really growing there. We already have 56 live Rapido institutions, which is amazing because we can say that this has happened in around a year and a bit. And we have, of course, many more institutions that are in the process now of implementation, but this is an amazing number to see. And we have Igloo that is starting in 12 days, 13 days, I don't know exactly, but it means that we'll be able to meet with many of you. And this is really, really exciting for me. And also there are very, very good sessions happening there. So if you're not attending physically, you can always attend those sessions virtually. So I would highly recommend it. There's going to be around 5-6 sessions that deal with resource sharing. So really amazing. In terms of the community, there's been a very good response to the NA pod. So the NA pod is now live. So we have an additional new pod. And whoever's in the region of NA, United States, Canada can take a look at the pod and in our documentation and decide whether you want to join or no. But it's really nice to see the community stepping up into this. For this particular region, I know there's been discussions regarding some of the people that attend this webinar are from Australia. So there has been a lot of discussion of whether we should add new pods or change some of the terms of the pod. So we will continue this discussion with you together with Megan and the team to see how we make the pod, the Australian pod, more exact and according to the needs of the region. Okay, so with this, we're moving to the Rapido September release highlights. And again, as always, we will leave time for questions at the end. Okay, so as always, giving a lot of emphasis to the Rapido ecosystem. And this time we continue the work that we're doing with the resource sharing directory, and we're giving more transparency to what you see when you access the directory. So again, this is both for Alma customers and for Rapido customers. As I always mention, Rapido customers do not need to add themselves to the directory, well, Alma customers do need to add themselves to the directory. But what we were missing here were we were missing the views of what are the lending terms for a library. So what you can see here is that we have some strange libraries, cleaning, training, low library, etc. But we have a few libraries here that are part of the directory. And you can see here under the lending terms, new column, you can see here that this is telling you that the terms are delivered in 12 days and keep for 12 days. Of course, these are just examples, so it's very, they're not the usuals that you know, and the cost is 0. And another column that we've added is the supply terms form. So you can see here, this is empty, which means that this applies to everyone. But if this was for a particular country, you would see this as well. In addition to that, you see here that there is a link. This is a linkable text saying that there's additional lending terms. So sometimes, of course, there's more than one term. So you would open that by clicking on that link, and this will open up further terms that exist for this particular library. So you can decide. The idea is basically that you can decide whether this is a library that you want to start doing resource sharing with or not. So again, we want to make to give as much as visibility as possible. Now, I do want to mention something that I'm going back here to this one. You can see here, one of the things we had in this screen that you don't see now is the pods I'm part of. And this has been, don't see it now by default. So your default display won't have that column. We don't think it's, for all of the Alma customers, it's really not something that it's necessary. For Rapido customers, you know which pods you're part of. But of course, we haven't deleted the column totally. If you want to add it again, you just go to the wheel where you can re-add the column if you're interested still in seeing it. But in terms of September release, what we want to highlight here is the addition of the lending terms and the supply term for it. Take a look in your productions. It looks once the release is in production, you'll see that it looks a little bit different. Most of them will have countries or not. So this is just an example. Okay, so moving forward, our next development is our next developments are related to staff efficiencies, and I want to start with mediation rules. So we have two new mediation rules, and you have here the examples for these mediation rules. We have mediation rules for pickup locations, and we have new mediation rules for the owning library. By owning library, I mean the library that the user is associated to, the resource sharing library that the user is associated with. So here specifically, we have an example that we want to show for a particular pickup library. But before we go into this example, the whole idea is that there might be some cases where institutions want to mediate by the selected pickup location by the user. So the request won't go directly to a lender in this case, or if they are part of a, they're associated with a resource sharing. So they're part of a particular resource sharing, and thus before Rapido sends this to a lender, we want to mediate the request. It's a very particular case, so we have to see which libraries will need it. We know that there are some libraries in Switzerland, for example, for sure, that have requested the mediation by pickup location, for example. So in this example, what we're showing is here that the request is being placed, and there's a particular pickup location here selected. And then you can see here that the request is actually created. It's in status created borrowing request. And you can, of course, create a set. And this set is for example, for those that are in the law library, and you can look at them and treat them and decide how to work with them. Now, very important to mention here is that the criteria for letting them go would be to use in the mediation rule is escape label, okay? Because again, if you recall, the pickup location is not going to change. So by escape label, I mean that once you've treated them, if you want them to continue in the flow, you will need to add a label so that they will continue despite the fact that the request is, for example, for the law library. So again, this is a complete workflow that you need to integrate with all of the different tools that you have in Rapido in order to let that request go or stay. Okay, I am going to move farther into another very important development that we've started, and it's going to impact us during the following months because we're continuing to do a lot of work around this. So as everyone knows here, multi-volume is a very difficult area in resource sharing in general. And we've started a project for improving the whole process of matching and treating multi-volume. So what we're delivering here with the September release is a first development in this area, which is very important because we also want to see how it evolves. It's a very delicate development. And the idea, I'll start with the idea and then we'll talk about the area of where we have started this. The idea is that we want to make the match more exact. So of course, when we're talking about multi-volume, let me just say that I'm talking about specifically physical multi-volume. So, you know, Harry Potter could be a very good example, or a physical journal. So it's not an electronic journal where we do the match. We already have a very good matching mechanism. So we're not talking about electronic journals here. We're mostly talking about monographs that have multi-volumes or a journal that is a that is physically in the library. So what we're trying to improve is how we match that request with what the library has. And our first improvement is on the mediation rule. Now, you might ask yourself, why the mediation rule, or how is the mediation rule involved? And I'll tell you in a second, but the idea is that actually this matching upon this request of this multi-volume request in Rapido touch different areas. So they touch when the area of the offer being presented, they touch the area of finding a lender, they touch various areas. And the area that we've decided to start with is the mediation rules, because also there is multi-volume, there are multi-volume processes. And the examples for these areas are the fill locally. So when you're trying to supply materials from your own library via Rapido, and the self-owned and available options. There might be other options there where multi-volume is available. So again, it's when the system is actually trying to check whether we have the request or not. So these are very good areas to start with this development. The multi-volume at this stage was based on title match. So we would just check whether the title existed or not, and then whatever happens with these different options, fill locally, self-owned, available, etc., will kick on based on title match. What we're doing now, and this is exactly what we want to continue doing with other areas, is actually do the match based either on the summary holdings, if it exists, and if it doesn't exist, based on the item information. Okay, so what does it mean? It means that if I have a summary holdings for a volume, for a multi-volume collection, I will check that summary holdings to see if, for example, that volume exists in my collection. In the future, we will check if that volume exists at the lender site, but this is exactly what we're trying to look. Now, what happens if the summary holding doesn't exist? We are going to go into the item information, and when I talk about item information, I'm referring to information such as the chronology fields that hold volume information. Okay, so it's very exciting, and even though we're starting with only one area, we will continue and have more developments around this. The idea is also to see that we are doing the right thing because it's a very complicated development. Now, following up, and this is important because we have a little configuration here that you need to know about, is that, of course, the summary holdings statement has a lot of information, and usually you use a delimiter to differentiate between the different elements that you have in that summary holdings. By default, Rapido is using the most common, or at least what we believe is the most common delimiter, which is the semicolon. But your site might be using a different delimiter. So if you're using summary holdings and you're using a delimiter that is not semicolon, you can actually tell Rapido to use this different delimiter. It could be a hyphen, a comma, I don't know, a slash, whatever you're using there, if you're using a different delimiter. So what I would want to point out here in this session is that under the configuration, resource sharing, general, and other settings, we have this new parameter. It's called Rapido Summer Holdings Delimiter, and you can see here that the delimiter is, as we said, by default, a semicolon. So if you are using summary holdings and you have a different delimiter than the semicolon, what we would ask you to do is go and change this delimiter and change it to whatever you're using, hyphen or something else. So this is the development. It's very, as I said, it's very important because in the following releases, we're going to start working on other areas like the requesting part, the offer part, the lending part, etc. So stay tuned for more, and for now, the mediation is where we're starting. Now, these were the 3 developments that I wanted to highlight. I do want to say that we did a lot of developments in this version that you're currently not seeing. They're developments that are kind of base for future developments. So also, even though I can't show you many of the things that we're doing at this point, they're part of very exciting future developments that you will see in our next release. Also important to say that the next release is the November release, not October. October is an infrastructure release. It contains bug fixes and stuff like that, but it's an infrastructure release. Okay, I'm going to move forward to our frequently asked questions. And as I said, there are more, a little bit administrative things that we wanted to mention here. And one important one is the Rapido mailing list. You've all seen recently that there were some issues with the mailing list related to the products. So as you know, the listservs were migrated, and this all was announced in different ways by the community. These listservs are maintained by the community. It is important to know that it seems that they're working again. If you're not receiving emails for the Rapido list, or your emails are not going out, our suggestion is to subscribe. So you have here the link again. So just try to resubscribe. If you add your email address and your name and you're already subscribed, the system will tell you that you're already subscribed. But still, it makes sense because we understand that some data was missed in the migration. So please do try to do this, because we all, the community, and we all use this channel to communicate in many ways. And we thought that while we wanted to talk about that list, we wanted to also remind you of the circle. And you have here a little link that for Circle. Remind you that this is a very cool platform where you can see what others are doing regarding resource sharing. And there are many, many, many options there to follow up, to see what conferences on resource sharing there are, things that other libraries are doing. There's some posts about Rapido there, how they're managing, for example, printing mechanisms. So I really strongly suggest that you go into this site and take a look and see what's happening there. Okay, and lastly, for today, just wanted to mention that we have a little new video, very cool video. The video shows the Find Partner action. And I want to remind you that the Find Partner action is an action that you can use when Rapido doesn't find a lender between your networks. And you can create new partnerships based on this functionality. So take a look at this. Again, this depends on the collaboration of the community and of those of you that have signed the agreement. But please take a look at the workflow and of course, share it with others if you wish, and ask your ALMA friends to join, to sign the agreement, the resource sharing agreement, join the directory. And it's really something that can enhance the way the community in general, not only the Rapido, but the Xlibris resource sharing community is doing resource sharing. So I would really like you to see this video. And if you don't have access to this link, we'll post this later, but just go to the Knowledge Center and you'll find it here. So we've covered what I wanted to cover through the presentation. So I'm going to stop sharing now and see if there are some questions here for today. Okay, so guys, this is your opportunity for asking questions. Just send me a chat, or send a chat or something, and we'll be happy to answer them. Okay, I'm not seeing lots of questions, but you know where to find us. And again, pretty soon we'll be meeting in person with some of you. So that would be amazing, just to see you and talk to you. So just look for us in Igloo, and we'll see you in our next section. Thank you, everyone.